What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zoe with No Days Off DFS here to bring that NBA slate breakdown for the 6 game NBA slate. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful Sunday. NFL wrapped up. Decent games last night. Last night's game could definitely been better. I'm not even gonna go there with the Miami Dolphins. Definitely let me down, but nonetheless, pretty good games last night. Pretty good games yesterday, period, for the NFL, and some decent basketball as well that was played. Hopefully, you guys all had a good day, good night. Hit some props, hit some DFS lines, and we're back to do it again, starting a whole another week. Uh, Kind of crazy. We're already the second week into the year, and we still ain't got the takedown yet. I'm not satisfied. So, with that being said, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you guys can go ahead and follow along on this journey as we try to go ahead and get a takedown, win some money throughout this year, and drop a like on the video if this video or any of my other videos have helped you guys win some money. Some quick announcements, quick things. Like I said last week, I am working on getting a membership package put up on the YouTube. So if you guys don't want to have Patreon, don't want to be sub to Patreon, and you still want to be able to get content, my player pool, my core, props, things like that, this will only be my stuff. I'm working on getting that stuff approved and done up on YouTube. It will come with my cheat sheet as well. Working on actually making it a different format better, especially for you guys on YouTube. I want to give you guys a really good product. So working on that. That is coming through the pipeline. Don't worry, that will be up. And it will continue, especially through the WNBA, because you guys know I cover WNBA as well, especially on the NBA's off season. So definitely working, and we'll have that hopefully up this week. Trying to hash out some stuff with that. And then if you guys are still looking for player pool, cores, props, all that other stuff, I do still post content that will be in the link down in the description below for the No Days Off Patreon. All those things are posted. Dropped stuff, of course, yesterday. Already dropped my props for today. Loving the early props that I've already called out for the day. Really do feel like we have some value right now. Pretty sure these things will get bumped. Very sure these will get bumped later on today as more people wake up. You know, the late worms, the late birds are gonna get out there and go ahead and start getting on some things. So definitely check that out if you guys are looking for some early value. I also did post a YouTube short with 2 plays that I'm really on for today. So definitely check that out as well. With all that being said, let's go ahead, let's get into it. Of course, we got the injury report we got to go over, look at. First game, we got a rematch of a game we just saw literally a couple days ago. Boston taking on Indy. Jason Tatum, Porzingis, they're both game time decisions. Porzingis, KP, he left that last game early. I want to say it was his eye. Probable to play. We'll get some more news, probably, not even probably. By the time that afternoon injury report comes out, we will get an update in regards to KP and Tatum. Right now, they are both game time decisions. We do need to know if they're going to play because that definitely affects a lot over here for Boston and definitely puts other players in play if they are going to be ruled out. Over here for Indy, we got Bruce Brown, game time decision. He's been like that for the last couple games, but he did play last time, so I would expect much the same. Thunder, nothing. Washington, nothing for us to worry about. Chicago Bulls, we got Zach LaVine, Vucevic. They were back last game. Looks like they might be back into the starting lineup. They did play off the bench, so definitely something to keep an eye on. We should, of course, 7 p.m. game, have that news before lock. So we will have that news. Over here for the Chicago Bulls, nothing really for us to report. Hopefully, all these guys are healthy by the time I go to the game early, later on this season. Houston taking on Miami. Really nothing that we got to worry about over here. Dylan Brooks, Tari Eason, both of them are out, so we don't have to worry about any injury news over here unless they update something later on today. Other than that, we're good to go in regards to them. Miami, same thing. Martin, he's expected doubtful to play. Jimmy Butler still dealing with that foot, so we get the same starters that we've been dealing with for quite some time. Utah, currently, nobody's on the injury report. And then Milwaukee came out, I think yesterday or day before. Crowder is going to be out. Damian Lillard, he asked for some day off. I guess he has some personal stuff he has to deal with. Cameron Payne is in concussion protocol. The biggest thing I would say is just paying attention, especially to campaign, because we do know he's the backup point guard. If he can somehow pass the concussion protocol between now and game time, that would be the only thing. But right now he is listed as out. Again, that would be the one that I would worry about and care in regards to, hey, if we can get an update before game time. Other than that, with these players missing and out, definitely have some juice, some usage, and some value that we can get in this game that we're definitely going to want to attack. And I'm going to be very honest with you right now. I have a line that I hate building early. I really do hate building early because, as you know, news and stuff, when it comes out, it changes the whole slate. Changes the whole slate quick, fast, and in a hurry. But with the value that we might have on Milwaukee and some of these players and some of these other games in the spots they're in, if everything falls dominoes right, I might have a line that I really, really love tonight. Like, really love. I cannot express it enough. For the Phoenix Suns, Bobo, he's out, Gordon's out, Lee's out, Little's out, and then not Lakers, Clippers are on the back end of back to back. Definitely want to pay attention here for the Clippers because they did play last night against the Lakers, lost unfortunately. Make sure that the main guys, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, that they're gonna actually play. That's something that we have to pay attention to. I would imagine that they will play tonight on the back end of back to back, but we do know that sometimes Clippers they do rest their vets, they do rest their guys. So something that I do want to pay attention to over here for them. Heading over to DraftKings, the site that I play the most on the site that if you guys don't have an account and you want one, check the link down in the description below so you can join me over here on the King. All right, starting out with the first game on the slate, we got my Thunder taking on the Washington Wizards. This game should be a decent game, definitely a bounce back game for the Thunder on the road. Who have, I want to say we lost the last two. I haven't started out this road trip quite frankly good at all, but definitely a really good spot for them and definitely have some interest in a couple of these plays over here. SGA, of course, we know the guy, he can go ahead and claw scratch, get his way over to 50 plus fantasy points. He's done that in back-to-back both of the losses that they've had. He has been a catalyst. He's been one of the bright spots for him, and going up against Washington where we know we have attacked them with opposing point guards, I have no problem, issue, or anything on with SGA right here at the 10-4. Definitely a step worth paying up for if you don't want to go up to like the Devin Bookers, the Giannis, Chris Middleton, those things like that we have in some of these other games. Definitely SGA, really do like the upside for him here. On the road, we haven't necessarily been blown out teams, so this game should stay close. I know it is Washington. I know how Washington plays, things like that, but they are playing at home. They should be able to keep this game close, especially with the slump that the Thunder are on. If Washington comes out hot in the first quarter like everyone else has done going up against OKC, shouldn't have any issues here for this game staying close. But SGA looks really good. Chet, we know opposing centers, they've done some nasty work. Definitely could see this being a bounce back spot for Chet. And I say bounce backs because he really hasn't had that big scoring game, block game, and those things like that in quite some time. I do really feel like this right here going up against Daniel Gafford, he should be able to actually do that here. I really do like the upside for him in this position. 7-7, definitely a mid-tier value option that we can get at the center position when we have some other pay-up spots that we can go to with the Bam Adebayos, the Giannis that we can get at the center position, Vucevic, Kristaps Porzingis, those things like that. Really do like getting a decently maybe lower owned Chet Holmgren right there. And then of course I got to talk about the last guy in the big three for them, which is going to be Jalen Williams. This also grades out as a really great spot for him as well. Has played pretty good on the road so far, 41 and 35 fantasy points. And opposing power forwards, we do know they can do some nasty work if they have a decent usage going up against the Washington Wizards. So I really do like that. Now of course GPP consideration, that's going to be your boy Josh Giddey. Depending on how he actually wants to come out here and play, he can go out there and have a good game, but at 6'3", really don't have too much interest in him at that shooting guard, point guard position. But Lou Dort, I will go ahead and take a stab at him. He's right above what I consider value at the 5'2". Decent spot, has played pretty good on the road so far, 24 and 28 fantasy points. He's not going to go out there and slouch on you, but he can definitely go out there. He's going to take quite a few threes out there for us. He's going to probably knock him down. I do have one of his props, 1.5 3-points made. It's kind of been cash money on the road, at least because he does take a chunk of those threes and pretty good 3-point shooter. Really do like that prop for him today to go over that 1.5 3-points made. He has gone over that so far this season and last season going up against the Washington Wizards as well. So definitely if you guys can get that on the books still, really good prop to go ahead and take. Don't mind taking that as a power two, maybe with something like Gafford's rebounds if you want to get something, a stack from this game. Now, outside of that, off the bench, main guys I'm probably going to look to is going to be Kassan Wallace at 3,600. Has been logging some decent minutes so far on the road. And if you think this game could possibly blow out the Thunder, maybe we can get some garbage time, some fourth quarter run for Wallace. I don't mind the upside right there for him there. Same thing for Aaron Wiggins. I definitely do like that. Now, Kenrich, not too interested right here. I know that he's a vet. They're going to have him come in and play that backup center position, things like that, but not too interested. The one that I will say is a deep GPP is Misic, because they haven't given him some minutes so far on the road, 11 and 12 minutes. He's right around what he's been getting in the games they've been playing him, but so far Mark, the coach for the Thunder, he has talked up in regards to, having to dig into the rotation. They're on the road. It's a dog days in January. We got 17 games, a lot of back-to-backs. So Misic, so far, he has definitely been inserted into the rotation. I do like him as a deep GPP play. Maybe somebody that they can give some more run to if the game blows out as well. Don't mind the upside for him right there. Other than that, I'm not going to mess with anyone else over here for the Thunder. Now, going over here to the Washington Wizards side is pretty much simple, cut and dry. Kuzma, Gafford, Tyus Jones, Jordan Poole will be the main guys that I want to look to. Denny Avnia, don't mind him as a GPP option, but pretty much very mixed bag in regards to what you're going to get out of him. Definitely is in consideration for GPPs, but not someone I want to look to. If this game stays close, it is going to be on the back of Kuzma. It is going to be on the back of Gafford. It's going to be on the back of Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole. They're going to have to go out here and have a very good game. And if you've seen and watched what the Thunder have done on the road, they've let these teams have some really great career nights so far, especially in the first half of the games. They're not putting their foot on the gas pedal. Now, this could be the game that they completely flip the script, blow them out in the first half, so on and so forth. But going with the trend, going with what we've seen, I will say that Jordan Poole, this could be one of those games where he comes out here and he's knocking it down from three, hitting it maybe 4 threes in this game. I could definitely see that happening for Jordan Poole as a bounce back spot. Same thing for Kuzma. Kuzma actually plays the Thunder pretty good so far throughout his history. I definitely don't mind going to him as well. I was on him in the last game that they went out there and played, going up against New York Knickerbockers. 35 fantasy points, really didn't do nothing besides scoring. A couple of rebounds, a couple of assists, but definitely can do more. And I can see him actually doing that here, especially if he wants to get active on the rebounding glass. I will say Denny Avdia, the way that he's been playing, him actually snagging the rebounds might be cutting into Kuzma a little bit, but I still do like Kuzma. Outside of that, Daniel Gafford, offensive rebounds. That's, of course, just been a thing for the Thunder. Very, very, very poor rebounding team. Definitely can see Gafford going out here and doing what all the other centers have done that have played against the Thunder and have a good day. So don't mind any of these guys over here for Washington, especially if you want to stack this game as a potential, as a nice potential spot to go ahead and stack. Going over to Boston, looking at them, we do have to get this Tatum news. We do have to get the KP news. Just looking at it, ankle injury, unclear whether he'll be available for Monday. If Tatum is going to be out, that's already going to go ahead and bump up guys like Jaylen Brown, White, Holiday, and then of course if KP misses, that is going to bump Horford and Cornette and Quetta. All these guys will get a huge boost if those two miss. Now, if it's only Tatum, then of course I'm going to look to Brown. I'm going to look to Derek White as my two main guys that I want to go ahead and play with Tatum being out. We know that if Hauser is going to miss, then they might go ahead and slide Banham into the starting lineup, which they have done that before. Definitely would want to know if Hauser is going to miss, but if Hauser is going to play, then you already know they are going to slide Hauser into the starting lineup. Makes for decent value option on the slate, but I will say I'd rather go with the starters than Jaylen Brown and Derek White, just simply because they are much better players, better usage and everything with Tatum being out. Outside of that, KP, if he's in, I have a lot of interest in KP. We know that he left the last game just because he got poked in the eye, didn't return, and they started Al Horford in his place out there, running him out there for him. So definitely do need to know if Kristaps Porzingis is going to be in or out for this game. And it was his eye, suffered an eye injury versus Indiana, was unable to do so. So definitely wondering whether or not we should get that news, of course, during the afternoon update for the day. So if KP is in and Tatum's going to be out, then of course I like KP, Brown, Derek White. If KP and Tatum are going to be out, then it's going to be Brown, White, and then whatever value you want to get off the bench. If everyone's going to be in and good, then I will still take a shot at Brown, but everyone else becomes lesser priority and lesser things that I want to actually focus on or go to. Brown and Tatum, they do have the best matchup on the slate. Well, not on the slate, on the team going up against Indy. Opposing power forwards, opposing small forwards have done very well going up against them, and they didn't do bad in that last game out there. Jaylen Brown himself went out there. He dropped 38.5 fantasy points, and you can only imagine what that'll go up to without Jason Tatum. Tatum dropped 68.75, and of course, I mean, I don't have to even beat a dead horse on that one. Now, over here on the Indy side, be honest, Boston, they're a decent defensive team, but the main catalyst for this team and the engine that keeps it going is Halliburton. 10-2, went out there, only 7 assists, 6 rebounds, had 5 steals and 17 points. And still dropped 44 fantasy points. That's pretty good. 35 minutes. I like that. Love the upside for Halliburton here. Definitely do think he can get back to that double-digit assist number that he's had over his past several games. I'm taking the risk. I'm going with Halliburton 11.5 for his assist today. Do feel like this is a bounce back spot. Indy playing at home. They play pretty good at home as well. And to be honest, Halliburton set up quite a bit of assists in that last game. Just players were not making their shots. Point blank, period. They weren't making their shots. Definitely do like the upside for him here, and I do like him as one of my pay-up options. As I've said before, Boston, they're a good defensive team, but defending opposing point guards, look at the game logs. They actually haven't been doing all that great against opposing point guards. So really do like the upside for Halliburton here. And then if I'm taking a stab at anybody else, Miles Turner, Mathurin, Buddy Hield, Bruce Brown, all those guys will be in consideration for me as GPP options that I don't mind. Main guy I want to take if I'm going to stack this game or get anything from it will be Halliburton from the Indy side. And then of course you can go down here to TJ McConnell, who somehow, some way always seems to be clawing and scratching his way, getting a decent fantasy point production from him. Not a must by any means, but definitely someone that you can go to. Over here for the Chicago Bulls, looking at them, like I said, we've seen Vooch, we've seen Zach LaVine. They are back in action. They played LaVine 30 minutes, surprisingly, in his first game back. Wouldn't be surprised if he actually starts. Same thing for Vooch, 25 minutes off of the bench. So definitely want to know if they're going to start and play. If they're back and they're playing, they're under 8K. I don't mind, just because, of course, it's the Charlotte Hornets. We know they can allow teams to stay in the game. They can somewhat keep it competitive depending on what kind of night it is that they want to come out here. They're playing at home, so hopefully home crowd can get behind them and they can actually keep this game pretty close. Between them all, just looking at it, I'll say just go with the ownership. That's what we've been doing before. DeRozan, Vucevic, and Zach LaVine. Whoever has the lowest ownership, that's going to be the one I'm going to take, because everyone else, they're going to be higher owned. Or you could just fade them all, to be honest, just because right now I want to see how they gel and mesh. I don't have any specific player that I want to get. I will say if Patrick Williams misses again, I will have interest in Dalen Terry, just because he did start last game, played 21 minutes, pretty good fantasy point production when he was out there, 20.25 fantasy points. We've seen whenever he's gotten some pretty decent minutes, he's done very good. This matchup going up against the Charlotte Hornets, good value. I will take that. I am going to pay attention a lot, especially with the lineup that I have, that I'm looking at wanting to play today. If Patrick Williams is going to be doubtful to play, and I'm gonna possibly be able to get Terry sliding into that power forward spot. You got LaVine playing the 2, DeRozan playing the small forward spot. You got White at the point guard. I will have a lot of interest in Terry. Even if Terry doesn't start, I might still go ahead and take a GPP stab at it. But outside of that, not really looking at too much over there for Chicago Bulls. Now over here for the Charlotte Hornets, it's going to be the same old. Terry Rozier, Mikal Bridges, Brandon Miller, Nick Richardson. All these guys are going to be in consideration for me. Nick Richardson is a GPP option that I do have quite a bit of interest in, just because opposing centers have done pretty well going up against the Chicago Bulls. And that was with Vooch being out there, and that's even with Drummond being out there. They have all had pretty successful days. The only thing with Nick Richardson is he's not necessarily going to go out there and take a bunch of shots. A lot of his stuff and a lot of his points comes off of putbacks. Him crashing the offensive glass and getting those putbacks up out there for him. I will say, decent spot. Don't mind him, especially if Vooch is going to actually start. I do think that Nick definitely more athletic than Vucevic. And he's not going to have to deal with that Drummond defense too much. Of course, when Drummond comes off the bench, depending on the rotation, so on and so forth. So I don't mind him. Another prop play, you can go ahead and call it out. I did take Nick Richardson over for his rebounds. I want to say it was either at 7.5 or 8.5, either or. I know I took the over on that already for the morning. Definitely don't mind it. Do really feel like opposing centers have hit their rebounding props quite a bit going up against the Chicago Bulls defense, even with Andre Drummond out there grabbing 17, 18, 20, 21 rebounds in those last couple games that he played. Outside of that, not really too interested in too much over here for the Charlotte Hornets. I know that someone made the comment in regards to, believing into the hype in regards, oh, Bulls are going to lose the game, so on and so forth. Hey, I fell for it too. I lost some money on the betting market. I played it over on Flip. I'm not going to lie. I lost $20 on the bet myself. But hey, I like those call outs. If you guys call out stuff like that, you talk, you're energetic inside the comment section, bringing those little things that you think, everyone has their own little niches, things that they dig into and they come up with whenever it comes down to making bets and stuff. I don't hate, don't mind it. And if it makes sense, I'll play it. So going over to the Houston Rockets taking on the Miami Heat. Houston Rockets going up against the Miami Heat. This one right here, kind of interesting, kind of not. Should be a defensive kind of game. Shango, of course, he's going to go up against Bam Adebayo. This will be maybe a tougher matchup for him. Opposing centers haven't done too hot going up against Miami since they got Bam Bam back. I will say Anthony Davis did pop up for 70 plus fantasy points going up against them. And Şengün, being the stat sheet stuffer that he is, I can definitely see him going out here having a decent game going up against them. But definitely would be just a GPP option for me. I do like the upside. Definitely do believe that he'll come in lower owned just because of the matchup and the price hike and everything on him in regards to it. There's better plays that you can get right here at that center position for 8.5. You can go with the Nick Richardson, like I talked, Daniel Gafford. How much is Porzingis actually? Porzingis is cheaper than Şengün. Porzingis, if he actually plays, especially with no Jason Tatum, Chet Holmgren, like there's so many other centers that we can go to here on the day that Şengün will come in lower owned. Like I said, GPP option nonetheless, definitely does have the upside to do it, especially for the fact that he can stuff the stat sheet. But I do believe this will be a tougher matchup for him, so I will be fading myself. Outside of that, over here for them, of course, still no Dylan Brooks. So and no Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr. should log some decent minutes out here at the power forward position. 40 minutes in the last game, dropped 40.5 fantasy points. Don't mind, don't hate him. Going to be going up against the rookie and Jaime Jaquez at that power forward spot. Definitely can go ahead and get it going, especially if Şengün, Freddie V struggle or something like that. I can see the upside there. Jalen Green do have some interest. Looks like he's been playing much better over his last couple games. Did decent last year playing against the Miami Heat. Could see him getting to a shootout with Tyler Hero on the other side. So definitely the options are there for him. And then with still no Tari Eason, Jae'Sean Tate, he should still be inside the starting lineup. Low usage player nonetheless, but defensive upside, can rebound as well. We'll always go ahead and take a stab at him if you think that he could possibly scratch and claw and get his way there. Other than that, not interested in too much over there for the Houston Rockets. For the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero going to be a main two that you want to go to over here. Tyler Hero, last season, I want to say he dropped both 50 bombs going up against the Houston Rockets. Now, of course, that was without Dillon Brooks, but hey, Dillon Brooks is going to be out once again, so you're just going to get Freddie V out there, and I don't mind the upside here for Tyler Hero. We'll say I was on one of his props. I've taken his points and assists on the slate. I know sometimes it's a little scary with his assists, but he should at least go out there and be able to get us about 4 assists on the day. And then as long as he's knocking down the shot, the threes are falling for him. Went 1 of 7 in the last game going up against the Suns, and they are back at home, where I do believe he's actually playing much better at home. 22, 30 points, and 2 assists. So definitely has been playing better at home. So we'll take the upside there for Tyler Hero to go ahead and go out there and have a pretty decent game. Now, some GPP options you can go to. You can always go with mess with Kyle Lowry. Depends on what Kyle Lowry you think you're going to get. If he's going to go out there and play 20 plus minutes and actually knock down the shots and distribute and play some decent defense, don't mind, don't hate going to that, but very deep GPP option. Don't trust him at all whatsoever. Jaime Jaquez, this grades out as a tougher matchup for him, especially going up against Jabari Smith Jr. But kid is a stat sheet stuffer. I will have some interest. One little thing I did look at and see, I know looking at the trends, but you could definitely take the under on Jaime Jaquez, especially in the first half for his PRA. Looks pretty solid as a possible play. And then if you're really feeling it, like what I am looking at for Jaime, full game PRA, you can take the under on that if you don't believe that he's going to have a good game. Do think it's going to be some pretty good defense on him with Jabari Smith Jr. and Tate. Do feel like they can actually defend him pretty well and keep him under for his PRA in this position spot. They've done very well going up against the power forward position so far on the season. All right, going over to Utah, taking on Milwaukee. This should definitely be kind of like the San Antonio Spurs game that we just saw the other day for Milwaukee. It's a 9-point spread, close spread. Of course, this is due to the fact that they are going to be without Dame. They're going to be without Cam Payne off the bench, things like that. They're missing a couple of players. And the Jazz, they don't die. They're kind of like the Goonies. Never say die. 35 minutes in that last game for Lauri Markkanen, 120. They beat Philly. But 35 minutes, dropped 26.25 fantasy points. So whenever Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, Fontecchio, when these guys actually get their minutes and play, they're good. They're a decent team. And I would hope and expect much of the same here in this spot, that these starters, these players that come out here, they have the good usage, they get to play their minutes. Jordan Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, Chris Dunn, and John Collins. All these guys are going to be in consideration in play. The best one to me personally, just because I do like the upside for him, and he kind of goes lower owned just because he's very much wishy-washy and what he can go out there and do. I will say John Collins. Opposing centers have done pretty decent going up against Milwaukee so far in the season. John Collins, as long as he's going to be able to go out there and play more than 25 minutes, keeps himself out of foul trouble. Of course, any team going up against Giannis Antetokounmpo, you have to worry about their bigs getting into foul trouble. If John Collins can keep himself out of it, he can definitely go out here and give us a 30-plus fantasy point game, which is one of the things I'm going to hope for and bank for, because I really do like him in my Milwaukee Bucks and Utah Jazz stacks for the slate. So hopefully we can get a decent game from John Collins, especially at that 5'2". Very cheap for a power forward / center eligible. Other than that, Lauri Markkanen, man, the kid, he's going to go out there, he's going to hoop, has played very good, really on the road. And if he's scoring and he's doing what he does, Utah Jazz always will have a chance out here on the slate. Now, Milwaukee, pretty much the interesting team, and I know a lot of people are going to stack this team. A lot of people are going to go here for the value. This is the value for the day. Of course, once we get more of the news and figure out who's going to actually start, 8 p.m. tip on this game, so we should hopefully somewhat have an idea of what it's going to look like. Your Giannis, your Chris Middleton, they're going to have all the usage, everything out there, especially with no Damian Lillard. Really do see Chris Middleton getting some of those ball handling duties. He was already dishing the rock at a pretty high clip. That's going to go up, especially with no Cameron Payne and with no Damian Lillard. The guys that they will have filling in that backup point guard position, or correction, the starting point guard spot, they haven't really been getting all that playing time. We're gonna be looking at a I think it's Andre Jackson as a potential player. Wigington, never heard of this kid at all. Washington. And I can see maybe some minutes at the point guard position for Pat Connaughton. I know he did it a little bit before for the Bucks. So all these guys are going to be trying to fill in that role, that spot for Dame. Now, a lot of the playmaking duties necessarily didn't fall onto Dame. Yes, he was dishing the rock pretty good in those last 2 games, but a lot of that was kind of coming from Chris Middleton already and from Giannis. So the playmaking duties, it's not going to fall off too bad in regards to who's going to actually dish the rock and have the rock in the hand. It's just cutting out that usage that Damian Lillard was going to have, and I really do see the ball being in both of these guys' hands. With that being said, Giannis should probably be very highly owned. Would be surprised if he's not close to 30-40% owned on the slate. Kind of your main pay up stud. Even if you think the game's going to blow out, why is it going to blow out? It's going to blow out because of Giannis, because of Chris Middleton having some very good games. The usage, everything is just going to be there. This is the Milwaukee Bucks of old that we get to see out here for today. You know, when Drew Holiday used to sit, we were always cramming in Giannis, cramming in Chris Middleton whenever he was healthy, things like that. Now, another player we can go to, of course, is going to be Brook Lopez. We know that he's going to probably get a couple more of those shots, maybe try to knock down some threes. Been a little bit of a slump of his last 2 games. Definitely can see this being a bounce back spot, especially with Collins, who has center block feet and might want to stay in the paint. Same thing for Walker Kessler. Maybe Brook Lopez can go out here and stroke it from 3 and get the deep ball going. Outside of that, Malik Beasley at the 2 guard spot. I'm not going to say he's going to dish the rock necessarily or anything like that, but definitely should see more than 1 shot attempt. Should see his shots go up quite a bit here as well with no Damian Lillard. And definitely if he can get it going from behind the arc from 3, I know that he can go out there, possibly get us like a 30-ish fantasy point game, which he did going up against the New York Knickerbockers. 5 and 9 from 3, got a couple rebounds, things like that. So really do have some interesting upside there in Malik Beasley as a, of course, under 5K value play that we can go to. So definitely want to pay attention to the news over here for the Bucks. Right now, I will tell you, right, Giannis is like prime in my line. No questions asked. He will be in my line. Last but not least is going to be the Phoenix Suns taking on Los Angeles Clippers. Straightforward, Booker, Beal, KD, mix and match. All depends on who you really feel is gonna be able to go out here and carry the night. I don't mind any of them. This should be a close game out here. You're going up against a pretty good Clippers team. I will say I will take my chances on Bradley Beal. It's funny because I said I want to see Beal go out here and get me into the 40s, and every single time I've put a new peg in front of Beal to go out there and do it, he's done it. So I'm going to say I would expect hopefully another 40-point game from Bradley Beal. I do like the upside here for him, especially with no Eric Gordon coming and cutting into some of those minutes right there for him. So Beal, do like the upside. And then my boy Grayson Allen. He's getting the respect put on his name. Bumped up to 6'2". I'm so happy to see the price jump and going up for him. Like I say, he's going to at least get you 20-plus fantasy points. He does that every single time going out there. Last time playing against the Clippers, only 24 fantasy points. Beal, last time playing against the Clippers, he went out there and he dropped 35.75 fantasy points. So again, don't mind either one of those guys. And if you want to take a stab at him, Yusuf Nurkic dropped 19.5 fantasy points. Definitely a bounce back spot for him to come out here and possibly be able to go out and give the work to Zubac. The game going up against the Clippers was without Kevin Durant. So if you want to take a stab at KD, remember, we might be without Kawhi Leonard. You know, he was recently just injured. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to rest him since it is the back end of a back-to-back and he did play some decent minutes last night, or if they were to rest PG. I want to pay attention to get that news from this Clippers team if we can be able to get that. But just want to make sure. If we were to get any news that either one of those guys are going to be out, whichever remaining starter is going to be there, I'll take a stab at Harden. If they decide, you know, all 3 are going to miss, then I'll take a stab at Westbrook. Just the usage is going to be a lot for whichever stud is left over for if any of these guys are you know, listed as probable or doubtful middle of the day. I'm going to expect for them to sit. Like straight up, that will be my game plan. Outside of that, let's see, Zubac, last game going up against the Suns, he dropped 16.75. So really, it's just going to be Harden, Westbrook. I really do need to get the news on Leonard and Paul George. But if all these guys are going to be in, again, they're all pretty close in price. I would look at the ownership. Whichever one comes in at the lower ownership between these top 3, that would be the one I would take if I am playing anything from this game. Right now, surprised that DraftKings, considering that they really have been cutting off these later games from everything else on a slate, surprised they're actually giving it to us. So not too sure if I'm going to actually have a late night hammer with the way that my build is going currently right now, but definitely something to consider if we can get a low owned Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, or Paul George in a pretty good game going up against a Phoenix Sun team that doesn't play a lick of defense as well. Definitely something to consider. Since I got a couple minutes before I cut this off, I'm going to tell you guys, Right now, my slate plan, game plan, building for it. Giannis, like I said, is going to be the main guy. I'm probably going to have 2 value buck players going along with him once we get some clarification in regards to who's going to actually start. I'll be honest, Malik Beasley looks very promising to me at 4-6. Opposing shooting guards have done very well going up against the Utah Jazz. A decent position and spot for him going up against them. Really do like the upside, especially with the increased shot attempts that he should probably get. Possibility for him to get some assists as well. Defensive upside for him to get some steals, blocks, things like that. All of that kind of just grades out for Malik Beasley to have a decent day and decent game. Outside of that, Pat Connaughton at 3-8, I definitely do feel like he should get some burn and run and see an uptick in his minutes. 28 minutes, only 16 fantasy points, but if you're going to tell me he's going to get over 20 plus minutes, definitely will have to have some interest. And depending on who starts at the point guard position, opposing point guards have played very well going up against Utah. I am going to have to take a stab at whoever is going to be slid in there. We'll look at some minutes and stuff back from November when Dame sat last time. So definitely something to just keep an eye on. But at least 2 value bucks will be going along. I will probably have at least 3 bucks in my line for tonight. Outside of that, I do like the Indian Boston game. I just the fast pace and everything for this game. Just need to get the news in regards to Tatum and KP. If they're going to be out, I will have one of Brown or Derek White. One of those guys will make it into my lineup, just depending on how everything else builds and fits in for me. JB, do like the upside for him here. Dropped 30 plus fantasy points with Jason Tatum out there. Just only can imagine what he'll do without Jason Tatum. We've seen it time and time again in regards to whenever a player sits. He has done pretty well in those position spots. And then over here for Indy, I'm kind of a firm believer of the bounce back spot for Halliburton. I will say little lenient if we get the news that maybe some of these other studs in this later game like the Clippers, I might fade Halliburton and go with something else later there, but I kind of do see myself gravitating towards a Halliburton or SGA as a possible pay up spend up at the guard position, just because I don't think too many people will go there, especially with the value that we might get from this Milwaukee Bucks team. And when you have Colin Sexton, Chris Dunn, those players like that in a pretty good spot going up against Milwaukee, I don't think that I don't think that Halliburton or SGA will be as highly owned. So it's just one way for me to get different, and it's one of those things that I'm just thinking of going with. OKC and Washington, I do like the idea of possibly stacking this game or getting something from it to possibly fill in and build out. Not too sure. That's what I said. I'm kind of teetering between SGA or Halliburton in regards to a possible spend up from here, but kind of eyeing something from here. Not too sure. Just waiting to see how injury news shakes out for me. Right now, kind of full fading the Houston and Miami game. Not too much interest from there. And then from Chicago Bulls, I do have a lot of interest in possible value play that we can get if Patrick Williams was to be doubtful or not play. I do have a lot of interest in Terry, just because, like I said, he is a pretty good fantasy point per minute producer when he's out there and he's getting the minutes. I do like the upside for him at that 3,700. It lets me fit in multiple studs and build out a pretty balanced, decent line and not have to go 2 stars and scrub heavy. All right, guys, that's going to be my breakdown. That is my game plan and everything for me. If you guys have any questions, something like that, talk to me down in the comment section. Player pool, props, core, all that stuff will be posted on the Patreon. Check the link down in the description below so you guys can go ahead and get that. Props have already been posted for the day. Hopefully you guys do cash out. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.